What's up, sports betters? So, in this video, in this live stream, I'm just going to go ahead, try to find some profitable bets. So, I'll share my screen, kind of go through the plays that I'm betting on, and hopefully, this video is helpful. So, let's just go ahead, let's get into it. So, I'm currently in a state without regulated sports betting. I'm in California. So, long story short, there's not a ton of options. So the main platforms we're going to be looking at are Prize Picks, Parlay Play, Underdog Fantasy, and then also No House Advantage. So I found some value on No House Advantage, so we can just kind of get into it. Lines are always moving. You can see there's a ton of profitable bets. If you use Parlay Play, I mean, this play is incredible. So the way that these platforms work, right, just like Parlay Play. So this is a play I already bet on. And I've explained this in other videos, but I mean, you really have to internalize it because it's not that hard to beat all of these fixed payout platforms, kind of like Prize Picks, like No House Advantage, once you understand them. But what's interesting about them, and again, I'm not going to dwell on it because I explain it in other videos, but is these platforms, they don't like change your payout based on you selecting overs and unders. It's a fixed payout platform. Parlay Play, most of these sports books that are available in California, Underdog, Prize Picks, Parlay Play, No House Advantage, they're fixed payout platforms. So basically, you take overs, unders, doesn't matter, it doesn't change your payout. So how these sports books try to beat you, just like Parlay Play, is they assume most sports bettors, can only win their over-unders correctly 50% of the time, right? So if you're only hitting these 50% of the time, if you can only get your over-unders correctly 50% of the time, you have no advantage. You're going to lose money on these sports books, every single one of them, Prize Picks, Parlay Play. So the strategy for beating them is you look for spots, and it's very rational, data-driven, is you look for spots where sports books have an under really heavily favored on the books. So you're going to see this plays incredible. Jordan Eberle, no idea who he is, but it doesn't matter. Everything's baked into the sportsbook odds. And what you're going to notice is literally every single sportsbook has his under 2.5 shots on goal as the heavily favored outcome, almost at minus 200 odds. So getting this play in a parlay play slip, getting this on parlay play is pretty incredible value, but I already bet it. So I'm not going to be able to rebet it. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's make a slip. I'm going to be using No House Advantage first. So this is a platform. It kind of works really similar to Prize Picks. It's a fixed payout platform. And what's optimal, what you want to go with on No House Advantage is 5 pick entries. So let me actually just pull up that spreadsheet that kind of breaks down the math behind No House Advantage. So let me go here. What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up? So let me open up the spreadsheet and then let's get into some plays. So I'm going to go ahead and share it. So long story short, again, the way every fixed platform tries to beat you, Parlay Play, Prize Picks, Underdog, they assume sports bettors can only get their over-unders like Durant over-under 31.5 points correctly 50% of the time. But on No House Advantage, you have to win 53.22% of your player props to be profitable, right? So it's really that simple. In all these fixed payout platforms, they have slightly different payouts. So the numbers will vary from platform to platform. But basically, right, if you're able to win 45% of your player props, if you can hit your over-unders correctly, 45%, 55% of the time, you win 55% of your over-unders, you lose 45%, you're going to be profitable on this platform long-term. Most sports bettors can't get an advantage, right? Most people, recreational sports bettors, like, if I look at some random tennis bet or CSGO bet, right, I'm not going to have an advantage here. So if I were to just blindly select over or under in the NHL, something like this, right, I'm only going to be able to select these correctly 50% of the time if I'm betting with my gut, right? I have no advantage. But long story short, on No House Advantage, all you got to do to be profitable is hit 53.22% of your picks. So I'll refresh the positive EV tool. There's some value on Fliff as well. Fliff doesn't have a web app. Like, you can't bet with it on the desktop, but I'm going to hit this bet on Jokic. I mean, so long story short, I may hit a few bets from my phone. Well, we're on, but this is a play I like. So Jokic over 26.5 rebounds, minus 130 on Fliff. Most other books pricing it around, minus 150 on DraftKings, minus 166 on FanDuel. So it really is that simple in terms of making money sports betting, right? There's no golden ticket to make $1 million. You're really looking for plays with a mathematical edge. All of these books, they all try to set lines independently. So you're kind of just hunting for those plays where a sports book is screwing up and offering too much value. And here we can see, we got FanDuel, DraftKings, Pinnacle, Bovada. All these books have this line at minus 150 or worse, an average line of minus 148 if you look at all sports books in the market. So this is a good player prop to go with. It's a play with value. And yeah, I mean, it's really like sports betting is all about value. Like if you're an investor, you're looking for investments that are too cheap, right? You're looking for where there's value in the market. If you're a day trader, you're looking for value. And it's the same thing as a sports bettor, but what makes sports books so exploitable is that all these books, they all set lines independently. So you essentially have numerous data points, FanDuel, DraftKings, right? All these books are data points telling you where a line should be set. You don't get that if you're an investor. It's not like you have, thousands of people telling you, yo, this building is worth this much money, right? So it's harder as an investor. Whereas as a sports bettor, right, this is the exact same bet. Jokic over under 26.5 points, right? If Jokic scores 27 or more points, this bet is a win on Fliff, on DraftKings, on FanDuel. But what's crazy is all these books set lines independently, right? That's what's so crazy is you essentially have different prices for the exact same investments or the exact same, bets, which is why sports betting is so exploitable, why it's so accessible, is because all these books set lines independently, right? You're just kind of hunting through the market, looking for out of, the tens of thousands of odds on each sports book, they screw up occasionally. So if you go and you put all sports books, there's 194 sports books on OddsJam. You can see the top plays actually on Parlay Play, right? This Jordan Eberle under 2.5 shots on goal. All the books have the under super heavily favored. Parlay Play is a fixed payout platform. And also this platform actually offers the best payouts. So compared to Prize Picks, they offer higher payouts, stuff like that. So it's not as popular of a platform as Prize Picks is, but it's a lot easier to find value because they offer slightly higher payouts. And this play is about as clear as day. But long story short, the more books you have, the better. So some people will ask me about do you use TonyBet? TonyBet's a Canadian sports book. So there's profitable bets on it. I'm just not going to give out a bunch of them on Twitter or anything like that because I don't use it. I'm not Canadian, right? So I don't have access to this sports book. Otherwise, I would use it, right? So long story short, yeah, that's kind of that. But what we can do is let's put in Fliff, Jock Market, No House Advantage, all the ones that are available in California, just kind of select books. And then you just kind of see what's out there in the market. Never going to force a bet. Sometimes there's value. Sometimes there's not value. These lines are always moving around. Typically, there's pretty good picks out there. So let's kind of see, let's start creating some entries once this ends up loading. So this play, I already bet earlier. I gave it out on Twitter too. So Jokic over 8.5 assists. So you can see FanDuel has been moving the line around a bit. So they've moved down. The graph looks a little weird, but they've moved this from minus 102 to minus 130 in the past 10 minutes, right? You can see here, this is a little line movement chart. So you can kind of track the line movements. It's pretty interesting. So Caesars as well. They had Jokic over 8.5 assists at plus 104. Then it moved down to minus 109. So long story short, there's clearly a lot of action, sharp action, however you want to think about it. Action is coming in on Jokic's over 8.5 assists. This causes lines to move, right? If all the sharp bettors or something like that, if a syndicate or, let's say there's lineup news, lines can move for any reason, right? Like in football, the weather changes, lines will move. Sharp action comes in, lines move, right? It's just like the price of a stock. Lines are always moving. So what you'll notice is as lines move around, some sports books like Fliff, you can see they haven't even moved their line within the past day. So a lot of these, squarer sports books or sports books that don't have as many resources a lot of times, like Fliff, they just don't adjust their lines as quickly. So it's clear a lot of action's been coming in on Jokic's over. Sportsbooks are, making his over more and more favored around minus 130-ish, minus 125, whatever. And you can still get minus 105 on Fliff. So that's, a great bet to go with. So it looks like a lot of action is coming in on Jokic's over as well. So you're going to see his over 26.5 points has moved from minus 122 to minus 166. So markets are expecting a bigger day from Jokic. It's just like some days you wake up and the stock market's higher. Maybe there was good news for the economy, whatever. Whenever there's new news, that's reflected in the price of a stock, right? They have a good earnings report. Price of the stock goes up because there's new information public in the market. So here, for whatever reason, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe Jokic is expected to play more minutes. Maybe just a bunch of sharp bettors with really good models all started hammering Jokic is over. But you can see Fliff is asleep at the wheel when all these other sports books are ripping lines more in favor of Jokic. So these are plays we want to go with. I mean, you're day trading sports. It's not necessarily. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in I'm going to lock in Jokic points because I already bet the assists. But basically, that's how sports betting works, right? We're literally like day trading the sports books. It's much more similar to day trading as opposed to like sitting there and watching highlights of games and thinking I can just outsmart the sports books. That's what 99% of sports bettors do. They watch sports, they're clueless, and then they think, I watch sports, I can beat the sports books. It's just not how it works, right? The sports books are pretty hard to beat. Most people bet with their gut. If you want to make money, it really is about relying on the data, and you don't need OddsJam to follow data. You can line shop, you can hunt for value, you can do all these things on your own, but line shopping is obviously, the positive EV tool, all it's doing is it's pointing out value in the market. So you can see the best play is on Jokic's assists, but then there's also value, on Jokic points plus rebounds plus assists. So you can find value a bunch of places. What's up? What's up? But anyways, what I'm going to do is try to create some different entries. So a lot of these plays I've already hit. So I bet this, I bet this, I bet this, I bet this. I'm pretty sure I gave out all these on Twitter, but I found some value on no house advantage. So hopefully we can go ahead and kind of get a play in. So this game's about to start, so I don't think I'm going to be able to bet it, that baseball play on Muncie. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up this tool. It's called the OddsJam screen. It's a little harder to use, not harder, but the EV tool is really easy to use, right? It's pretty simple. You select the books you use and it points out value in the market, right? There's no BS. The reason you want to take Jokic over 8.5 assists is because Fliff is giving you ridiculous value, right? Value is all that matters as a sports bettor. Some people will be like, oh, I watch basketball. Jokic is going under. You're not smarter than the sports books, right? These sports books have invested hundreds of millions of dollars in their ability to set lines. And also, sportsbook odds are a reflection of what the market believes is, the fair price, right? If Jokic is under should be favored, every sharp bettor, every syndicate would have hammered his under, and his under would be favored, right? Lines would have moved. Sportsbooks don't just take bets and never move lines, right? So long story short, if all of us start hitting this minus 105 on Fliff, which I already bet, but if they keep getting a ton of action, I mean, I'm not sure if anyone works at this company. There's a lot of profitable bets on Fliff, so I'm not sure if anyone works on Sundays at 4 p.m. But regardless, it's just like eventually sportsbooks move odds. If all the action is coming in on the Nuggets tonight, lines will move towards the Nuggets. It's really that simple. That is how sportsbooks work. It's just like people buy a stock. There's more demand than supply, right? So the market believes the price of that stock should be higher. So the price will go up. And then maybe some hedge fund is like, no, it should actually be a little lower. So they short it, right? The market is a reflection of the belief of everything, right? Of all public information and everyone's opinions. And it's the same thing in sports betting. Sportsbook odds reflect what the market believes is the true price, right? So looking for value in the market, basically sportsbook odds, they encompass anything, right? Last game is encompassed in the odds. Any public information is encompassed in the odds. If Jokic's finger got hurt last game, it's reflected in the odds, right? That's why you look at price data, real-time price data, as opposed to historical data, because sportsbook odds reflect everything you need to know about a game, right? Like if Jamal Murray gets injured, obviously, hopefully he doesn't, but in 30 minutes, the market will have Jokic's assist line higher, right? Like the market knows that Jamal Murray got injured, so Jokic's assist line will move higher. Probably his player points line will move higher. For a bunch of reasons, lines move. So hopefully we can find some bets. But anyways, I'm talking a lot, so let's just kind of get into it and hit some bets. So KD over 30.5 points, whatever. So we can start out on this tool. It's called the Sportsbook screen. And this tool's, nothing amazing, but basically what it does is it just shows you the odds across platforms, right? So basically you can use this to find value in the market. So for example, one play we may want to go with on No House Advantage is right here, right? Cameron Payne over 9.5 points. So what you're going to notice is underdog fantasy. Again, this is what's so crazy about sports betting and why it can be so profitable is Payne's line is 10.5 on underdog, right? FanDuel has him at 9.5, but they have the over favored. Prize Picks has his line higher at 10, right? PointsBet has his over 9.5 favored. DraftKings has his under 10.5 favored. So you kind of, look through the market and you just kind of look for discrepancies. So Payne over 9.5, No House Advantage, 53.22% is the same as minus 114. So it seems a little decent. I mean, it's nothing to write home about, but getting his over 9.5, you could even possibly middle this with underdog fantasy. So take the over 9.5, take the under 10.5. You'll cash both if Payne has exactly 10 points. But long story short, we'll skip over that one for now and see if we can find anything better. So here's another one, right? Aiton's line is 13.5 on No House Advantage. These other fantasy platforms like Prize Picks that work in basically the exact same way as No House Advantage, they have his line higher at 14. So you want to take all the sports books have his line at 14.5. Well, I guess FanDuel has his line at 13.5, but they have the over favored. And it looks like they just moved the odds on the over. You can see from minus 124 to minus 128. So that play seems a little decent, right? And we can kind of continue to go through the market. So here's a play I like. You can see right here, well, maybe not. Kevin Durant's line is 31.5 on No House Advantage. Underdog Prize Picks have his line at 30.5. It looks like there's some disagreement in the market. FanDuel has his line at 31.5. DraftKings has his line at 30.5. So long story short, it looks like No House Advantage is a little high if you look at the other fantasy sites like Prize Picks and Underdog Fantasy, but you can get better value. If you wanted to take Durant's under, you'd rather bet this on FanDuel as a straight bet than placing this on No House Advantage at minus 114. Because again, No House Advantage, you got to win 53.22% of your picks to be profitable, which just means minus 114. So they're essentially charging minus 114 juice. Like most sports books charge minus 110, minus 110, just like FanDuel right here. If there's no juice in either direction, these fixed payout platforms on NHA for their 5-pick entries, it's minus 114. So what we can do is we can just kind of literally you just scroll through and just kind of look for discrepancies. Sometimes there's a bunch of plays, sometimes there's none. It just kind of depends on the day. But we can open up player rebounds, maybe see if there's something there. So Fliff, Jokic over 8.5 assists, Jamal Murray on parlay play. So that play I already bet. So most of these, a lot I already bet. Obviously, there's not a ton of games left to start tonight, at least. But what we can do is we can just kind of take a look. Sometimes there's early value for tomorrow. So here's a line discrepancy. Porter's line is 6 on parlay play. Two other fantasy sites, Prize Picks and Underdog, have his line at 5.5. Books also have his line at 5.5. So Porter under 6 rebounds seems decent, right? It's nothing to write home about because sportsbooks have the over a bit favored, but this clearly seems like a play with a little bit of value, taking his under 6 rebounds. So we can continue to go through. And again, if there's no value, I won't have a bet. But hopefully we can find at least something out there to go with on NHA. So then we can refresh this. And again, lines are always moving. So this auto refreshes the page. New feature that launched, automatically receive new positive EV bets without refreshing. But regardless, I'll just hit the refresh button. So it looks like lines are moving more in favor of Durant's over. You can see on FanDuel, it's moved from minus 108, right, to minus 154. So you're kind of like a day trader following the price of stocks in real time. But what's different, right? What's different about this is the same bet, right? And books change prices at different times. So FanDuel has ripped all the way down from around minus 110-ish on Durant over 31.5 to minus 154. So FanDuel is ripping, right? They've moved all the way from minus 110 to minus 154 within like the past 30 minutes. So you're kind of following the prices, but you're following prices for the same bet, right? This is Durant over 30 half. So books will move around lines in different fashions. So maybe DraftKings moves the over higher, FanDuel moves the over a lot more favored of an outcome. So again, all these books have different prices. So essentially you're like following the same, it's the same bet, but all these books have different prices. So you're kind of like following the market in real time between different books and looking for inefficiencies in the market, right? So what else is out there? So we can keep an eye on this Durant play, maybe bet it here in a bit. But anyways, let's see if there's any value on the screen. I may have just waited too long to do this video. Would have been better if there was still the Padres game, but it just started. So here's a play. See, this is a play I wouldn't say I like love. Durant's line is 14 rebounds and assists on no house advantage. Fantasy sites have his line at 14.5, but you're going to see FanDuel has his line at 13.5. So there's kind of like some disagreement in the market. No house advantage, it looks a little low relative to parlay play, but sportsbooks have the under 14.5 pretty heavily favored. So if anything, you'd actually prefer to take the under 14.5 on parlay play, because this odds jam column just is the no vig odds weighted from every sports book. So they have the no vig line at minus 117. You're getting minus 114 on parlay play. That seems decent. But anyways, what we can do is just chill for a sec and we can open up the little fantasy screen. So this fantasy screen, again, like it only works for these fixed payout platforms. These are all the platforms that they're not changing your payouts based on you selecting over and under. So all that matters is your win rate, right? Literally all that matters is what percentage of your picks can you win? Just because, again, they're fixed payout platforms. They don't have different prices. So in Underdog Fantasy, there's a slightly different, win probability you need to be profitable than on NHA. NHA actually offers some of the best payouts, no house advantage, NHA, whatever, compared to Prize Picks, Parlay Play, these other platforms. No house advantage actually offers some of the most advantageous payouts. But what we can do is what this fantasy optimizer does is it kind of like, uses sports books to show you value on platforms. So what we can do is we can open up a few of them. There's Prize Picks, there's Underdog, no house advantage. So no house advantage, it looks like Jokic over 50.5 points plus assists seems a little decent. We can see if there's anything on Underdog. Again, like the only game that's left today is Suns Nuggets. So we may just be a little light because, there's definitely some value on parlay play. So maybe we make something on parlay play if we can. We could take a look. So Jokic points plus rebounds plus assists. Pretty interesting. It looks like there's a lot of sports books are screwing that up. So what we can do is we can open it up and just take a look, see what's going on. And then we can also just refresh this, see if there's any value, whatever. Maybe we can find some picks. So where's Jokic? So Cameron Payne. Okay. So here you go. You can see all the fantasy sites. The fantasy sites, all of these platforms are kind of like newish, is they all have Jokic's line at 50.5 rebound PRAs for Jokic. I'm not sure if it can be seen, but I can zoom in a bit. All the sports books have his line at 51.5 in general. DraftKings has his line at 49.5. So does Flip. So again, some disagreement in the market. A lot of times you'll see lines really start to move as you get closer to game time. It's just kind of how it is. A lot of the action, a lot of the sharp action comes late in the day or close to game time. Like if you think about it, there's probably not that many people betting on UFC for next Saturday, game 6 days away. Also, a lot of sports books will increase betting limits as you get closer to game time. They'll allow larger and larger bets. So long story short, some of the biggest line movements you're going to see in sports betting are as you get closer to game time. So we can refresh this. Looks like in general, the same plays. Looks like FanDuel just like came down a bit. So they had it at minus 154. They just moved down to minus 146. So long story short, fair amount of bets on Fliff. I think I bet all of these above 1%. I hit this, I hit this, I hit this, I hit this. I hit this on parlay play earlier. But anyways, we can continue to go through. Maybe we'll find some value. So it looks like Underdog Fantasy is the first sports book to post odds for the game 4 of Lakers Warriors tomorrow. So you can see they've started to post odds. So that's kind of cool. So here's a discrepancy. Underdog has RJ Barrett's line at 26.5 PRAs. Prize Picks is 27.5. Sports books are kind of split between 26.5 and 27.5. So I've explained this before, but typically, like, it should be pretty clear. You're looking for clear line discrepancies. So here's a play that seems Kevin Durant, points plus rebounds plus assists, 44.5 on parlay play. Underdog Prize Picks, it's 45.5 on FanDuel, and they have the over favored. DraftKings has the line at 44.5 though. So there's some discrepancies, but nothing absolutely massive right now. But I'm sure we'll be able to find something as we continue to look. So we can open up player points. Maybe there's something there. I don't think we finished going through it. Value on Fliff. So the only settings I have on OddsJam are just the sports books I use, obviously. And then max odds, I'll kind of vary around from 190 to 240. But market width is kind of correlated to maximum odds. So I recommend just, you can just set one of them. Like the more you increase market width, basically what you're doing is you're increasing maximum odds. So both of them work in kind of similar ways, like a max for market width or a max for maximum odds. So you can kind of do either. But what was I trying to say? I don't necessarily have a minimum EV percentage. I mean, of course, I'm not rushing to bet something that's, 0.1% profit margin, but I don't filter anything out because sometimes, just like the play we saw in Durant, like sometimes I like to see the lower EV plays because they may become better later. They may become worse. And it's kind of same with the fantasy screen, right? Like you don't want to take these picks in red. They're not profitable. So you can see like DeAndre Ayton under 10.5 rebounds plus assists is over this plays below, 53 whatever percent you need to win on parlay play. All these picks in green are profitable. These plays in yellow are kind of like on the edge. So sometimes I just like to keep an eye on like, okay, what's on the edge? Because they may become good later, right? Like you can imagine, let's say Booker, obviously I don't hope this happens, but let's say Booker gets injured. He's walking off the bus, he gets injured. Well, I know this play or let's say Jamal Murray. So if Jamal Murray gets injured, this is like the first thing I'd want to bet, right? Jokic over 50.5 PRAs. So right now it's like kind of marginal. I think on parlay play, just like no house advantage, you need to win 53.22% of your picks to be profitable. So right now it's like kind of marginal, right? It's just kind of whatever, 53.23%. So basically it's fair. This is what you call fair. So if all your bets were hitting 53.23% of the time on no house advantage or parlay play, your ROI would be, 0.1%. So pretty horrible. Like you just break even long term, but it's still valuable. I like seeing this play because if any news happens or whatever, like maybe then this play will get a lot better. So we can refresh this. We'll see if lines continue to move. Jokic, Durant. So just like the price of a stock, right, is like bobbing up and down, changing. Maybe a hedge fund wants to sell. They don't think it's valuable anymore, right? They don't think the price should be as high. They want to exit their investment. So the price of the stock goes down 10 cents because new information entered the market. A big hedge fund wants to sell their stock position. So they clearly don't think the stock has much value anymore. So the price goes down a bit. There's more supply, right? And then it's just kind of like lines are always moving. People are expressing opinions in the market. Let's say some syndicate comes in and they start hammering Durant's over 30.5 points. Then FanDuel, the rest of the market, they may move up 10 cents. They're reacting to the fact that, hey, these this group of sharp sports bettors, a syndicate, that's a group of sharp sports bettors, they're all betting on Durant's over. We should take our over a little higher, from minus 146 to minus 156, from minus 120 to minus 140. Like, these books are constantly reacting to new information, and that moves around lines. And as sharp bettors, we're following these line movements, right? So early NBA bet on Prize Picks, Julius Randle. So it seems like Prize Picks is starting to post odds for Monday. So we have one play, Julius Randle. We have 3 plays now on Prize Picks that are profitable. Durant under 2.5 turnovers is best. It looks like sportsbooks have the under really heavily favored. So let's look for some plays on Prize Picks. So we can pull up Prize Picks, see if there's anything, really just looking kind of for discrepancies between these platforms. So Durant over 30.5. Well, sure, NHA's at 31.5, FanDuel's at 31.5, but DraftKings is at 30.5. So there's some disagreement in the market. We'll hold off there. And we can just kind of like scroll through, look for these discrepancies. So this is kind of interesting. Some disagreement for Jimmy Butler's points line, 27.5 on Underdog, 28.5 on Prize Picks. Just because there's a discrepancy doesn't mean, you have to, place a bet. It's just kind of interesting to follow. Like here, some books have his line at 27.5, some books 28.5. Nothing really clear. So I'm just going to hold off. And we'll try to find some plays, hopefully. So let's look at, rebounds plus assists. And we can go to Prize Picks and just kind of start getting together an entry. So we want Durant over 2.5 turnovers, Randle over 3.5 assists. And I know a lot of people are like, just bet on games that are today. Well, if there's value for the games tomorrow, I'm going to place bets on the games tomorrow. So Durant over, Randle over, Murray over 3s. Okay. Pretty excited for this game. That's why I'm live streaming, killing time before the game. So hopefully it's a good game. I mean, sportsbooks are pricing that it should be a good game. Like if you go to the Suns game, so if we just pull up the Suns game, the Suns are like extremely small favorites, minus 115. You can see they opened as minus 170 money line favorites. So all of the action has been coming in on Denver. They've moved from minus 170 on Caesars over the course of, a day. No, a little more than over the course of like 36 hours. They moved from minus 170 to minus 115. So what does that tell you? The Nuggets are more likely than the market initially priced them. Sportsbooks first released odds. The market, sports bettors, sharp sports bettors, all the action, an unbalanced amount of action came in on Denver. So you can see it's the same thing on FanDuel. Suns opened at minus 174. I don't know if there's a injury. I don't know, right? Or if just sharp bettors and all their models are like, no, the Nuggets are more likely to win this game. But the market is telling you, hey, initially sportsbooks had the Suns as bigger favorites. Now they're less big favorites. They're still slightly favored to win the game, but only very small favorites. So this should hopefully be a really good game. So here we go. Durant's over. So you can see more sports books are starting to move on Durant's over. So we'll keep an eye on this. Maybe we'll have a play on it here in a second. And then we'll reload this little fantasy optimizer thing. And then we can see if we can find anything. And it's really not, sports betting in general is not a glamorous job. Some people just love it. Some people love gambling. Some people hate it. But you can make money sports betting because all these books set lines independently. But by no means is it like, probably the best thing to do in your career or something like that. Because sometimes there's no bets on sports books. You could look for good bets all day long. If there's no value in the market, there's no value in the market. So, like here, Jamal Murray, all books have his rebound line at 4.5. Dozens of data points telling you his line should be set at 4.5. There's no value. Don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So, games tomorrow, there may be some more value. Josh Hart, 8 versus 8.5. Ooh, a discrepancy. Anything bigger? So, Jared Vanderbilt, under 6 rebounds. That seems a little decent on Prize Picks. Ideally, I can find something that's a very clear discrepancy. Sometimes points plus assists is a good one. I don't know why, but a lot of times it's like the less looked at markets that have bigger line discrepancies, right? Like if you think about NFL money lines, it's pretty well known that beating sports books long term on NFL money lines is kind of hard because sports books have such a close eye on their NFL money lines. That's like the most popular bet type. Devin Booker under 40.5 points plus assists. That seems decent on parlay play. Caldwell Pope, I already bet his under. I bet his under 11.5 though, actually. So let's see. Wow, they're screwing this up big time. So you can see here, this is an example of a great play on No House Advantage. So No House Advantage has Jokic's points plus assist line at 37. Parlay play, Prize Picks, and Underdog are 1.5 lower, right? 1.5 points plus assists lower. Sportsbooks have this line at either 35.5 or 36.5. So every data point is telling you, No House Advantage is way too high at 37. So this is a clear discrepancy, right? The odds jam weighted average of all the sports books where they're posting the odds is 35.5. So the market consensus is over 35.5 should be slightly favored, but 37, I mean, what are they doing? Like that's a play you want to be all over. So what we can do is let's get rid of this play on Durant, and we want Jokic points plus assists, and we want to take the under. So we may have a play on No House Advantage before we have a play on Prize Picks. So points plus rebounds sometimes have some value. So we can open up that as well. What's up? The start of my month is pretty rough as well, but it's just kind of how it goes. Can you help me decide on Booker? What's up? So it kind of depends on the market. I mean, I say this all the time, but like I truly like it should be clear if a bet is good or not. Like there's a spectrum of sportsbook sharpness. So like this play, for example, on Jokic, I mean, you don't only want to rely on one sportsbook. So here, this play on Jokic, if we look at sportsbooks, Pinnacle has this at minus 135, Bovada minus 130, BetUS minus 145, Bet Online minus 130. Like basically, according to every sports book, these books have slightly different odds from one another, of course, but like the market has Jokic's over around minus 125, minus 130. There's no major disagreements in the market. It's pretty clear that Fliff is just screwing up. I mean, literally, every sports book has Jokic's over 8.5 assists as the favorite outcome, except Fliff. Fliff is the one sports book with his under favored. Right? They're not an efficient sports book. They don't even move their odds, really. They barely even move their odds. They just kind of seem to set it and forget it. You can see in this line movement chart, like it's been minus 105 since they posted it. Whereas all these other sports books like are moving around odds due to supply and demand and stuff like that. And they're bigger companies, so that makes sense, right? They have more resources, better trading, whatever. So this play on Durant's getting better, it seems like. So maybe we just go ahead and we lock it in. You can see Caesars, they just moved up to minus 142, right? They were minus 121 when we started this live stream. They just moved to minus 142. So all the sports books are ripping lines higher on Durant. Did I already hit that? I forget if I hit it, but I'm hitting it right now. So you'll see this on my Pickett. Again, Pickett is the verified bet tracker I use. It's just I'm I'm not really sure when the company started, but it's just a popular online platform for tracking your bets. And the reason it's popular is they automatically pull bets from your sports book. So, like, you sync your Pickett account. And here, once again, Fliff is the only sports book with Durant's under favored, asleep at the wheel, as every other sports book rips Durant's over 30 half as a bigger favorite. So I'm going to go ahead and bet this for the max I can bet it for, which is 250 on Fliff. It's the max they allow you to bet. So what I can do is, anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. I wanted to find plays on Prize Picks. So we got 3 plays on Prize Picks. Hopefully we can find a couple more. So let me go to player props, player points. And then I want Durant's over. Trying to lock it in. Fliff can be a little janky. So let's see what else is out there. So points plus rebounds. Maybe we can find some more plays here. Or maybe there's just not a ton of plays right now on these fantasy sites, which makes sense because there's only one game. So 1 game left. It's obviously a lot easier. I think there were 20 games today total, NHL combined with NBA. So here's another good one. Ayton, over 23 points plus rebounds. So that seems good. So what I can do is remove his player points, and we can take his over points plus rebounds. They have his line at 23. All the sports books have his line at 23 half. All the fantasy sites have his line at 23 half. FanDuel has his over 23 and a half as the favorite outcome. So that seems good, right? And then we can kind of look at these other platforms. And then I can open up No House Advantage. So Jokic is over. We already have a play on Jokic, though. So what's hard about these platforms, or the annoying part, is you can't play straight bets, right? So like on NHA, we're looking for 5 picks. So we got 1 really good pick. But the thing is we got to find 3 or 4 more. Or we have 2. So we got to find more. And that can just, sometimes it's not easy. Or sometimes it just requires more work than placing a straight bet. Ooh, so now we got our 4th pick on Prize Picks. So let's go to points plus assists. We want Payne's under. So now we have 4 picks on Prize Picks. Payne's under just popped up. So Durant over, Randall over. Okay, so now we got to get going. All these player props in green are profitable. Plays in red, no. So we need 1 more pick on Prize Picks. That's all we need. 1 more pick on Prize Picks. And then we'll have a profitable entry. So most of my plays I'm finding on the fantasy tool, the fantasy optimizer thing, right here, but kind of tapped out the fantasy optimizer. We have 4 picks. This play on Durant is pretty incredible. Sportsbooks have the over really heavily favored. But what we want to do is try to find one last play to go with before the game start. So we can open it up and then we can take a look. So player points, anything, any discrepancies, any discrepancies, any discrepancies. So we can go to the games tomorrow and see if there's any big discrepancies between like Prize Picks and Underdog. So here's one. RJ Barrett, his points line is 19.5 on Underdog, 20.5 on Prize Picks. But again, sports books are kind of split. FanDuel opening Barrett at 19.5, DraftKings at 20.5. There's kind of some disagreement in the market. So I'd prefer to hold off on that for now. And my email as well is in the description on YouTube. So if you watch this and anything's confusing, because I'm just kind of looking for my last play on Prize Picks. So I know I'm not like answering any questions or whatever, but I can do that. Yeah, of course. Yeah. If the under is below 50% to hit, yeah, that means the over is above 50% to hit. Exactly. So like for this play on Durant, sportsbooks have his over heavily favored. So, Prize Picks is another fixed payout platform, right? They're not changing your payout based on you selecting overs or unders. So you want to take the over for Durant because the under is over 50% to hit. It's more likely to hit. But anyways, hopefully I can find one last pray on Prize Picks. So this Cameron Payne play just got a little bit better. Julius Randle plays pretty good. What else we got? So now I just need to find something hopefully pretty quick because I know the games are starting soon. So we can scroll around. We have 4 good picks. Now we just need our 5th one on Prize Picks because, again, on Prize Picks, it's optimal. You want to go with these 5-pick entries. So I thought there were some plays I said, that was a little good, but what we can do is we can refresh this, see if there's any plays on Fliff. So just kind of like scrolling between the tools. Obviously, usually when I'm when I'm at home, I'm from Virginia. So Virginia has legal sports betting. So I'll find bets on FanDuel. You can see there's profitable bets on FanDuel all the time. FanDuel is one of my favorite sports books. Been able to make a lot of money off it, but like not currently in Virginia, so don't have access to FanDuel. So you may have different books available to you. Obviously, different books are available in different locations. So, if you don't use Prize Pick, I apologize because obviously we're focused on Prize Picks and these fantasy sites in this video. But that's just because those are the books I have access to right now. When I'm back home in Virginia or something like that, I'll have more plays on FanDuel and DraftKings and stuff like that. So, man. So let's just take Vanderbilt under 6. All the sports books, underdog have his line at 5.5. Sportsbooks have his over 5.5 favored, but it's not like super heavily favored. So whatever, good enough for tomorrow. Seems pretty good too. Again, nothing to write home about. It's not like that player prop on Jokic where the line was 37. And all the other books were at 35.5. So sometimes it's nicer to see bigger discrepancies, which we see a lot of the time. So this is a good play, right? It's a discrepancy between all the sports books. All the books have his line at 5.5. There's no discrepancies. Prize Picks is the only one with his line at 6. So we want to take the under. So I'm going to lock this in for 150. So that's our play on Prize Picks. Vanderbilt under 6 rebounds, Payne under 16.5 points plus assists, Murray over 2.5 threes, Durant over 2.5 turnovers, Randall over 3.5 assists. Obviously, the game's about to start, so I know everyone's got to get their beer and beverage. And so you can see Booker's line moving higher now. So interesting, these line movement charts. So you can see FanDuel moves lines like a lot of other books. They just move them and then they keep them. FanDuel, it's like they are constantly moving lines. So you can see Booker's over 31.5 points was minus 104. All the action clearly favoring his over. It's moved all the way down, kind of up and down to minus 132. Take a look at Caesars. Kind of interesting graph here. So long story short, some value on Fliff. You can see Pinnacle. They moved it from minus 122 to minus 110. Right? So as bets come in, as sharp bettors place bets, they get more bets on the over. They move line in favor of the over. Just like the price of a stock may go up and down, right? They have a good earnings report. The stock goes up. Oh, there's some report that the economy is in bad shape. So that hurts all stocks. The price goes down again slightly, right? Books are always moving around odds, adjusting to new information, just like the price of a stock. So here's my 5-pick flex on Prize Picks. If you have any questions, again, I include my email in the description on YouTube. It's just Alex, my name, Alex, at oddsjam.com. But always happy to answer any questions about how to make money sports betting, how these platforms work, anything at all, any topics you want me to cover that you don't think are clear. I mean, some people ask me like, yo, do a video about, using historical data to find bets. And the truth is there's not that much complicated stuff to making money sports betting. It's just putting in the work, right? It's getting multiple sportsbook accounts, taking advantage of profitable promos, finding inefficiencies in the market. Some people will be like, oh, I've gotten emails like do a challenge video, $10 to $100,000 challenge. It's like, I'm not a magician, like $10 to $100,000. It's like, give me a break. Like, I try to focus on how you can actually get an edge, make money long-term, no BS. So hopefully these videos are helpful, but any other topics I'm happy to talk about, just let me know. yeah, and enjoy the game. Should be a good one. See you guys.